So we are here to explore some meaty fare, more specifically some Kongunadu fare. And we are here at Erodu Amman Mess. Well, I thought we said only a few dishes. I think this has captured the innermost soul of the chicken in a soup. I love the bright shards of chili that I'm seeing in that chintamani chicken. I think next let's move on to that pichipotu natakoli. Some of the neyi, suda sadam, and the parappu podi with the neyi. What's unique about this biryani is the color. Namaskara folks, or Vanakkam, because we are in Chennai and we are in Annanagar. I'm told that is Annanagar East and this is West. So we are here to explore some meaty fare, more specifically some Kongunadu fare. And we are here at Erodu Amman Mess. And for many in Chennai, at least that's what I gather based on the people that I've spoken to, when it comes to this cuisine, East or West, well, Erodu Amman Mess is the best. And to bridge me to the folks here at Erodu Amman Mess, I'm going to be meeting a person who seems to have eaten almost all through Chennai. Namaskara, Vanakkam.
Vanakkam, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Chennai. Welcome to Chennai.
Thank you very much. So I'm with Shabnam Bano, who runs a very popular blog here in Chennai called My Tryst with Food.
Sir, yes.
So when I reached out on Twitter, when I reached out on Instagram, I received responses from many people who said, well, you have to meet her because she seems to have the pulse of Chennai when it comes to food.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for all the love.
So tell me more about Erodu Amman Mess.
So Erodu Amman Mess is one of my personal favorite places. They have a very authentic Erode style food. Chennai as such doesn't have any personal style of its own. It's like a melting pot of different cultures. So you get a little bit of Chettinad, you get a little bit of Konganadu and all that in Chennai. So Erodu Amman Mess represents the Konganadu style of Tamil Nadu, and they've got their food on point.
Vanakkam. Hello, Namaskaram.
So this is Mr. Prabhu.
Okay.
He's one of the founder, head of Erodu Amman Mess, third generation of Erodu Amman Mess.
So when did this begin?
I actually started this restaurant here in Chennai in the year 2019, but the roots go beyond 1980, where my grandfather actually had started this place.
Okay, in Erode.
Yeah, in Erode. And this eatery was very close to the Perimariamman temple in Erode, which is a very popular temple in Erode.
Okay.
So back then when, people used to come to the temple, they make it a point that to have a meal here. And the people actually named this place as Amman Mess. Because that's how we got the name.
So Amman Mess is a name given by the
Absolutely.
people.
The goddess. This is temple for us. So
Well, that certainly makes for a fascinating account of how this place got its name. Erode because that's the provenance, that's where they hail from. And Amman because that's the sentiment, that's the emotion evoked by the devotees after paying a visit to the temple and also relishing a meal
absolutely,
here.
absolutely.
Wonderful. And speaking of food, well, I can certainly smell a lot of food in the air. So what's special here?
We specialize basically in Konganadu Samayal. Lots of turmeric, ginger garlic, and lots of spices. There's a difference between the Chettinad version and the Konganadu version.
Correct.
Chettinad is basically lots of garam masala.
Garam masala.
Whereas, the Konganadu is basically dry red chilies. That's the base actually.
The dry red chilies.
Absolutely.
And what chilies get used in
The
that?
regular red chili, the Endo 5 variant.
Oh, okay.
So this is something that we use across in all our dishes in common.
Fantastic. And I think there's only one way to find out is to head to the kitchen and see what's cooking. Can we do that?
Yeah, please.
Fantastic. So what's all this here?
So this is something that goes along with our veg meal. We serve a special vegetarian meal.
Okay.
This is the palya, this is the kuttu, the murunkai sambar, and this is the enna katrikai kolambu.
The enne katrikai, that's the eggplant.
Yes, and this is a specialty of our house.
Huh.
This is called gulkand, which is made of dried rose petals along with honey.
Okay.
And this, along with curd, is what finishes a complete meal in Erodu Amman Mess.
Really?
When we were, kids actually, we used to ask our mom to cook some sweet for us. She says, no, I mean, a meal itself is too much for you guys. Oh, this was our sweet in those days. And that is something that we are used to eat from childhood, and we wanted to bring that to the customers too. Another podi that we make from the house. It's not the regular parpu podi. It is a lentil-based podi, but along with groundnuts, and it's a little more different than the regular podi that you taste in Bangalore, Andhra, the parpu podi. So it's a little different.
What is this?
Pepper leg fry. This is a broiler.
And that's your biryani?
That's a biryani, the mutton biryani.
Mutton biryani. So is that a boneless biryani or with
No,
bone?
it's with bones.
And siraga sambar?
Yeah, siraga sambar.
What is that?
It's a brain fry.
And this is nalli gravy.
Yeah.
I'm already making a note of dishes that I want to taste when on the table.
So this is how basically we make. So once the order comes, this is 90% cooked,
Okay.
and the remaining 10% cooks on the
Tawa.
skittle. Yeah.
So this is like a mutton nalli, is it?
Yeah, this is the mutton nalli.
So basically your base is the curry.
Absolutely. Yes.
So the curry is made and then that curry gets processed further depending on the order.
Yes.
So whether somebody wants a curry, whether somebody wants a chuku, whether somebody wants a fry.
Absolutely.
So you cook it to different levels.
Yes. So we make sure that we portion everything. So it's all fresh cooking, and the cooking happens for every dish. So we don't keep overstore or keep it for the next.
The one thing that I notice out here is the color of the masala. So when we talk about Kongunadu cuisine, we typically associate Kongunadu as one belt, be it Salem, Erode, or maybe to a certain extent Coimbatore. But what's interesting to note is that each place has its own character in terms of the masala. So I remember from my trips to Salem, there the masala is much darker, more peppery, more roasted to that particular color, whereas here it's the red chilies. So therefore the colors here are reddish brown, much brighter than the Salem style.
Salem is a more darker.
And what about Coimbatore?
Coimbatore is more or less the same, 99% the same. Erode and Coimbatore complement in the food.
Fantastic.
Chicken cartorel is what she's making now.
Okay.
And so this is our base, which already has some masalas in it.
So in the oil she has fried some chintamani, some takali and some masala that's gone in. What dish is that called, you said?
Chicken cartorel.
What does kartu mean?
A forest
chicken cardu varavar.
Correct.
So in the forest they make this?
Yeah, very limited ingredients. But the taste comes out of the red chili and the chintamani.
So this is the chili.
Correct.
So where does this chili come from?
This we take from Karnataka and we take from Andhra.
It's a Guntur
Yeah,
chili.
it's a Guntur chili.
So you want that heat.
The heat, yes.
But what's interesting also is that your dish has good color.
Correct.
So is that color also from here or do you use something else?
We don't use colors, no chemicals, nothing. It is purely from the chili. It's a mix of Bedgi also.
Oh, Byadgi also. That's what I was getting to.
So
because Byadgi gives the
the
color.
The color. And Kashmiri, the Kashmiri red chili.
The Kashmiri
all
lal.
put together, yeah. This is the mutton biryani.
So what I find here in your biryani is that it's very dark in its color.
Correct.
Why is that?
That's because of the pattai.
Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, yeah. It's called the Vietnam pattai.
So it's basically the regular pattai,
Yeah, and there are
cinnamon and the Vietnam
yeah, the
pattai.
Vietnam.
So that gives it that color.
Absolutely. The Vietnam pattai is what gives us the best flavor, more than the ones that we get here. We use a mixture of the three cinnamons basically.
So cassia.
Cassia, Vietnam and the Sri Lanka.
So what is the ratio?
50, 40 and 10.
So 50 is Vietnamese. And that's what gives that color.
Yes.
Oh, okay. This is the pattai.
Yeah, this is what we primarily use.
And this is a star anise, cardamom and the cloves.
Yeah,
No
correct,
bay
correct.
leaf.
Not for this, but for the chicken biryani we do add bay leaf.
What about things like kapok bud?
Kalpasi does not come in ours. We don't have tomatoes inside the biryani. We don't have curd in the biryani.
Ah.
It is not the regular, the Mughal style biryani.
So are your biryanis a lot more assertive in their flavor, a lot more aggressive? Because I suspect the curd would cut some of that down.
But we do have lemon in it.
And is the base what? Do you have some greens that go in like chilies, green
Green
chilies?
chilies, onions, small onions, ginger garlic.
Ginger garlic, all that goes
Yeah,
in.
all that goes. This is what goes into the cooking basically.
Okay.
So this is the prawn masala, this is the mutton masala, mutton kothukari masala, the palipale masala, chicken kaima masala, the liver masala.
The kebab masala,
Yeah, kebab
65.
masala. Yeah, this is the chicken biryani masala, this is the natukori masala. This is the leg piece that you saw earlier. This is the mutton chukka masala.
So what's at the base of this masala? Coriander?
Coriander, red chili is something that goes in everything.
So do you also have some cumin that goes in?
Yes.
Sombu?
Yeah, sombu is one primary.
Okay. And pepper in this masala?
Yes. The masalas are made from our house.
Oh, masalas are made by your home. Okay. You know, many a times when you look at traditional food, you find that that food, that knowledge, that skill, that technique is in certain people's hands. But eventually those people pass on, and therefore many a times, many of the food cultures tend to wither away. But I think this is a fantastic way of ensuring that culinary traditions that began in Erode in 1980 are continuing.
And consistently maintain the same taste every single day.
Right.
And that's why we have people coming in so frequently to our restaurant. We have customers who come to our restaurant for lunch and dinner 365 days without missing one single day.
Really? I was wondering when I received all these requests for me to cover this place, and when I heard about how prolifically they multiplied, I was wondering, you know, how would it be? But I haven't tasted the food yet. But just speaking to Prabhu and understanding the philosophy behind how they're going about things, now it begins to make sense. Now I know why Erodu Amman Mess is so popular even before tasting the food.
Erode basically has a type of, making the parotas. We cook at least 80% of the parotas and then pile it up and again pack it tightly so that the remaining 20% happens in steam.
In a hot box?
Yes.
I love the manner in which he trapped air in that. This is the parota that's cooked and then they finish it with some ghee.
Correct.
Will he now do that?
No, we'll not do it. We just give it directly.
You don't want to waste the ghee.
This is basically a dish that is invented here.
Okay.
It's called the tool parota.
Tool parota.
Yeah, tool is nothing but smashed parota.
Broken.
Basically, the parota is fried, and then we make a salna and top it with a half-done egg.
Like a kalaki.
Yeah, this is basically a dish that is inspired from the American chopstick. We wanted a South Indian version of an American chopstick.
This is parota that is cooked first like regularly.
Yes, and then cut into pieces
and deep
then
fried. Nalla crisp karka.
Yes, it's basically a kalaki.
That goes on that.
Yes, if it is a chicken, then we top it with chicken. If it is a mutton, we top it with mutton. This is the basic egg tool parota.
Ah, fantastic. Another dish that I haven't tasted before. So this is where all the frying happens.
Yeah, this is the frying. For the non-vegetarian, we primarily use the nalli and the groundnut oil.
And where do you use the coconut oil?
Coconut oil is for the fish. The omelette gives a completely different flavor.
Really? The cooks are beating away at the tawa quite furiously.
Every single piece of brain will be coated with the masala. So that the brain does not get that raw taste.
Get the raw sort of
So
flavor.
every single bite will have the feel of pepper, the masalas and all. That's a special salna that we make. So this gives the consistency, the thickness.
To the fries.
Yeah, to the fry. And also the parota, along with the parota when you have the salna, it gels well.
Can I taste a bit of the salna?
Yes.
Thank you. Star anise.
Yeah, we have at least 22 ingredients that goes inside.
Also coconut.
Yeah, coconut is the base.
Red chilies, I can feel the heat of the red chilies. A little pepper as well.
Pepper, patta,
So there is a certain element of spice. And the body comes to it from the lentils.
Tur dal.
Tur dal.
Yeah. So it actually binds the grains, basically.
So the dal is also a carrier of all the flavors.
Correct.
Do you roast the coconut?
Yes, we do.
So that's the flavor that I'm tasting. Delicious. What is this?
The Japan chicken.
Japan chicken.
Yeah, Japan chicken is something that we are very popular for. It's one dish that we make at least 150 kilos in a day. Basically, Tirupur, Erode are the textile hub of India. Basically.
Okay.
So we have a lot of, expats, foreigners coming in. So they wanted something a little flat. Erode Coimbatore is generally popular for the spicy dishes that we make. called.
So this
becomes red chili. So this is the only dish that comes without the red chili version.
So Japan chicken is invented in Erode.
Yes, yes. We probably brought it to the market in Chennai.
So you probably are the ones who made it popular. Nobody knew about this then. I mean, there's multiple influences that are working here.
Absolutely, and you've been one very big major influence to us in curating our menu again.
All right, how's that?
We have a Mangalore base, the Mangalore chicken gyros.
Really?
The Kundapur. That is something that you cooked on your YouTube channel. I got inspired. I learned it from it. I made that into a recipe, and we are also dishing it out.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So I think we've seen all that we had to see in the kitchen. Now it's time to get to the table here at Erodu Amman Mess and see what's in store for our sapad.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
So there is the Nallamatti rice, board of the fried rice. We wanted something to invent, the Erode style. This is again house favorite.
A lot of turmeric.
Yeah, a lot of turmeric, a lot of red chilies. So this is again a fried rice, but the Indian version or the Erode version.
And the karvepille.
Yeah.
I love the attention that's being paid to food here, both in terms of traditions and also in some of the newer, more contemporary influences. Well, it certainly feels a lot cooler when you step out into the air-conditioned restaurant, especially in the Chennai heat. Well, everybody's enjoying their meal. There's a sort of buzz that you find in a restaurant when people are busy devouring their favorite items on the menu. So that was quite a tour. So I'm now completely hungry and waiting to get started. So what are the must-try dishes here?
There are a few personal favorites. One is their vegetarian meals. I completely love it because I think it comes with a lot of things. Non-vegetarian side, I love their nalli fry, brain fry, and there's something called naatu rasam. I always start my meal with it.
Naatu rasam, wonderful.
It's a soup.
So we should definitely do the sapad here.
Correct.
And then?
So probably you should start with the kozhi rasam, with the starters, chintamani chicken, naatu with the small onions. In the prawn, you can have probably a prawn kandari. That's again a specialty here. And some prawn fry. You'll have a brain fry, a nalli roast. You probably can taste all the curries. The annur kozhi kolambu, annur naatu kolambu, annur mutton kolambu, annur prawn kolambu. And then the fish curry, the mansetti main kolambu.
You know, my idea is to also taste other things in Chennai. Japan chicken we have to try, of course, it's world famous outside Japan.
True.
To me, this is always an exciting start to a meal. When you have a banana leaf. Naatu rasam. Chudirka. I think this has captured the innermost warmth or the innermost soul of the chicken in a soup.
Absolutely, and the spices, very subtle, not overpowering.
Delicious. So that's not coconut, that's basically some of the chicken bits, bit of the chicken fat.
You can see it floating on top of the soup.
Sometimes you walk into a restaurant and the very first thing that you place in your mouth tells you you've arrived. You've come to the right place. That's really what this chicken soup is all about. Delicious. Brain fry. Chintamani chicken. So there's some red chilies in this.
Chilies.
I love the bright shards of chili that I'm seeing in that chintamani chicken and also that curry leaf. Bheja. So I think I'm going to make a beginning with that bheja fry. That brain is soft and custardy. We also watch this being cooked inside. And what the cooks here ensure is that they have a masala. They want to make sure that every bit of that brain is coated with that masala because as per Prabhu, that's when it takes away the gamey flavor of the meat. Oh, I love this. I love the texture of the brain. You just place it in your mouth and just close it. The warmth of your palate will cause that custardy texture of the brain to dissolve away. And what you're tasting really is the warmth that comes from some pepper. There's a bit of the curry leaf that you're tasting. My teeth has had to do no work at all. And I suspect this will also be very nice with some parota, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
There's also a bit of that, the shallots, the chinna venkayam. Oh, mutton nalli fry. Pichipottu natukoli, which is basically the pulled country chicken.
Yes, exactly.
And now for some of that.
Nalli. So the best thing about their nalli, what I like is there's good amount of meat as well as the bone.
And this, of course, is the pichipottu,
Pichipottu.
which is basically the shredded country chicken. I'm going to taste now that chintamani chicken. That chicken is a little cold to the touch. There's a bit of tang that I'm tasting in there.
The secret to chintamani chicken is the chilies that's being used.
The chilies. Is there tomatoes in this?
There is tomatoes.
What's also nice here is that these are the sort of dishes that make for very easy sharing.
Yeah.
The meat pieces too are the sort that are cut not very large, not very small. Whether it's 2 people, whether it's 4 people, we can all share. I can certainly taste the warmth of that red chili now. That red chili or the chintamani chicken on my tongue.
That's the signature of any chintamani chicken, that the chili should burn your tongue. It will give you a nice burn.
Nice burn.
Yeah, it is.
So it is torture, but you'll enjoy that.
Enjoy it, you'll enjoy it.
I think next, let's move on to that pichipottu natukoli. Are you tasting more of the masala in this?
The smoky taste.
So out here, when you order for the fries, the meat is cooked twice. First in the curry, and then it's extracted from that curry, and then they cook it again. Out here, because the chicken is shredded and then cooked, therefore you're tasting a lot more in terms of the intensity of that masala, because every particle of that chicken is holding on to the salna, and therefore the spices that have gone within.
Absolutely.
There's a bit of a tug
Yeah.
that you find in country chicken, which is nice. Because my theory is that as you bite on the chicken, that chicken rewards you with gushes of its flavor.
Absolutely. So
Chicken.
satisfying.
Yeah.
Korean.
Oh,
Kottu.
chow chow kottu. Mutton gravy. Well, I thought we said only a few dishes, but I think we've got a surfing.
Yeah.
So these are the dishes that go into the meals.
Vegetarian meal. Cabbage. Tamil we call is mutakos.
And this is of course a kutu
Chow chow.
of the chow chow or the chayote squash. This is the potato.
Urlekirangu.
And this I know, the murungakai or the drumstick, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
The sambar. And then this of course is the era kolambu. Then you have a chicken kolambu. Is this broiler or is this country chicken?
I think it's broiler.
And then we have some mutton. And then we have some mean kolambu, the vanjaram. We also have some vanjaram fry here. And last but not the least, that very famous Japan chicken.
Yes. Japan.
Japan chicken. As we learned from Mr. Prabhu that the dish was inspired by a Japanese businessman who found himself in that area and wanted something that was a less spicy to it. But it'll be interesting to see if that version of the Japan chicken, which was supposedly bland, finds its flavor in this plate, because I can certainly see plenty of chili here. Cool parota mutton. So now I think we've lost track of all the dishes that we've ordered and how we're supposed to eat them. This is the regular parota.
It's a regular parota. Moru moru prawns.
Muru muru means crunchy, is it?
Yeah.
So the prawns been breadcrumb, but what I like is the innate sweetness of the prawn. I want to go back to that mulai with the bit of the parota. I want to kind of almost smear that mulai, the art mulai, into the folds of that parota. I love the smoky flavor that I'm tasting in that.
The molai, right? It's a pepper that shines through the dish.
I think we should taste next with some of that annur mutton kolambu.
Yeah.
I want to taste some of the meat. The meat is tender. I'm also registering some of the aromats that go into that masala. I'm definitely tasting some of the flavor of the sombu, the fennel.
Yeah.
Perhaps a bit of the sweet spiciness that comes from star anise.
The best thing is each gravy will be distinctly different from each other.
That's right.
The mutton will not be the same as a chicken.
I think next we should go for that nalli fried. I think what's nice about the meat here is that the meat is very tender.
Yeah, yeah.
And what I like is the manner in which that masala has soaked into every strand, every fiber of that meat.
That's why I love their nalli, because I've not seen this quality in Chennai in general. Mutton.
There is a marrow within, but it's a sort that's fairly stubborn. At some point, you've got to give up. But I think next I'm going to try some of that chicken curry. You know what's interesting is that in the mutton curry, I felt that the curry had a lot more of the depth of flavor that's associated with a bit of the fat. But in this chicken, because it's made with a broiler chicken, you're tasting more the fragrances of the masala. But I think what we should probably taste next is that Japan chicken. The chicken is still warm. You have some corn flour that goes into the sauce. There's a distinct flavor of definitely the garlic that I'm tasting in it, but also of some coriander based spice mix. And when you fry the chicken, what do you toss the chicken in?
Corn flour.
That's right. So that's where the cornstarch comes. I think what you need with this is some hot paratha. So to me, what I'm tasting in this, in addition to obviously the sweetness that comes from the cashew, a little bit of the pungency of the garlic, the heat of the chili is there, but it's more of an afternote. There seems to be some other flavor that quite registers in this that I'm not able to put my...
Fried groundnut oil.
I think that makes sense. So what they do is they first dip the chicken in some cornstarch, in some maida, and then they fry that chicken in the groundnut oil. And this is like an unfiltered groundnut oil. So that groundnut oil, the nutty flavor of that groundnut oil is what I'm tasting in that chicken. And I think that makes for an interesting contrast to the sweetness that comes from cashew and the richness that comes from dairy. So I think in terms of a dish, this is very diametrically opposite.
Yeah,
everything
exactly.
else that you are tasting or would expect to be tasting.
Probably psychologically, when I come to Erodu Amman Mess, I expect spicy, gamey, those kind of food. So when I come across Japan chicken, kind of very controversial opinion, but I prefer my meat this way than this way.
So if you visit here and you want things that are very spicy, more peppery spice, the heat that comes from the masalas, from the spice mixes that go in, etc. Well, the Japan chicken is not it. But I think the key ingredient here, to me, which is, let's say, what makes it very different from just chicken that is probably deep fried and then tossed in a cashew cream sort of a sauce, is a frying of the chicken in the groundnut oil. That is the flavor that remains from the first bite of this dish
Even
to
the
the last.
aftertaste.
The chili, you bite on and you move past it. The sweetness of the cashew, you move past it. The creaminess, which is there in the texture of the dish, remains. But it's that flavor that comes from that unfiltered groundnut oil that the chicken is fried in, which is what stays right through. And I think that's what lends character to this dish. Well, you're probably wondering what we're doing with this fresh vade ele in between our meal. Well, somewhere along the line, as we were relishing all those non-vegetarian dishes, I thought that the vegetarian meal here, the sapad, which is equally popular, was not getting its due. So I said, well, we've tasted all the non-vegetarian that we wanted to taste. We'll taste some more, of course, but before that, I thought let's make for an interlude of the vegetarian meal here.
Absolutely, we needed a break.
Well, I didn't need a break. But I thought it's good to take a break from the meatiness of the meal here and savor some of that poriyal, some of that chow chow, kuttu, and a few other things. And
The podi, the mango pachadi,
the murungakai sambar.
sambar.
Salt. Urugai. That's pickle. Urugai. Uru is hot. Oh, this mango is cooked then, huh? With jaggery.
With jaggery and then some chilies.
Is it considered polite to eat?
Just carry on. Don't worry.
This is potato curry.
Ah, Kirila?
Urulakkilangu.
Urudaikilangu. That's the one Tamil word that I don't get.
Tongue twister.
Muttakos, the cabbage.
Cabbage.
Chavite squash kootu. Ah, this is what it is all about.
Suda suda sadam.
Sudat sudat sadam. Ah, nice. Lovely. Some of the nehi. Suda sadam.
Yeah, this
And the parapu podi with the nehi. The tuppa, the nehi, and also there's some peanuts in that. So I think the lentils serve to give it body, but the predominant flavor that you're tasting in that is that of the peanuts. So I think also when it comes to the parapu podi, in Andhra they call it the pappula podi, I think there's a different character to each. So this is very nutty as opposed to others which may be a little more spicy. And I think what's also nice is when you heat the ghee, it acquires a certain nuttiness.
yes.
And that makes all the difference. If your ghee were to be at room temperature, you wouldn't enjoy it to this extent. So I'm also tasting a bit of sweetness in that, and somewhere I'm told there's some jaggery too that's deployed into that parapu.
Absolutely.
Tiny bundles of joy. You know, I've tasted so many of the dishes before this, all the meaty delicacies and all excellent of course. But there's something about the basics when it comes to food that touches your heart. And I think that's what this chud sadam with the nehi and that parapu podi is all about. Delicious. We've got some hot vanjaram fish as well that's come in. Muringakai sambar. The chinna vengayam. The chinna vengayam also has a certain flavor to it which is quite unique.
No wonder it's called Madras onion sambar because we use chinna vengayam in every possible dish.
That sambar is nice and warm to the touch. This has a little bit of the slightly sour note of some tamarind in that. So this sambar is very different from, let's say, the sambar that you will have with your idli, which is a little more thickish.
Yes. There is a different method. In fact, there are many varieties of sambar. For idli, as you rightly said, there is a arachavita style where they ground the spices and then they add, so it makes the sambar a little more thicker.
So that's interesting because in Karnataka, our breakfast sambar is usually thinner. And our lunch sambar is usually thicker. And so in this sambar, there's no jaggery.
There's no jaggery.
To a self-respecting Tamilian, jaggery vellam in sambar would be considered sacrilege, is it?
Yeah, I have to admit on screen,
Yeah.
it might be a controversial point, but we don't like jaggery in our sambar.
I'm sure they probably make tons and tons of sambar. So probably when you're procuring drumstick in that quantity, it's probably a little difficult to ensure that the drumstick stalks are tender,
Yeah.
right? Have some of that chow chow kootu. The texture of the chow chow, it's pulpy, it's moist, and it's quite refreshing. And again, I can taste some fennel in that. So fennel is a big part of the cuisine here. There's some coconut milk as well. I can also taste some of the jeeragam.
So enne katrika kulambu.
Ah, enne katrikai kolambu, some eggplant. I want to get some of the soft pulpiness of that enne katrikai into that rice. Oh, I love the puckering sourness.
I love
Of
this
the tamarind in
katrika. I don't know what magic they do, but then it's a very,
Yeah.
very nice preparation.
I think this dish harnesses the puckeringly sweet acidity of the tamarind or the puli. I think on that note, I should also taste some of this manga pachadi. That manga has soaked up the earthy sweetness of the jaggery, but somewhere it's still reluctant to give up its sourness. So you're tasting that full-on sweetness of the jaggery, but then there's a very distinct and quite strong flavor tone of the sour mango throughout. I polished all of that manga pachadi just by itself. I think now some of the non-vegetarian dishes too are finding their way back to our table. This is a yera, the small prawn, and it's my belief that the smaller the prawn, the more the flavors. Of course, it's a huge task to clean these small prawns, but somebody else has already taken the trouble. I think staying with the prawns, we should probably also taste some of that kandari yera.
Kandari.
This is a prawn that's cooked in the bird chili. So I suspect this is also going to be quite spicy. I love the sweetness of the prawn. Fresh prawns will always have that slightly sweet character.
Coconut milk, yeah?
What do you thicken this sauce with? There's something else.
Coconut
So it's the first extraction, which is why the kandari chili is not able to be as assertive. You can see some of that coconut milk, the first extract of the coconut milk that has congealed and is holding on to that yera. Although the dish is named after the kandari chili or the bird eye chili, which is a very hot chili, that coconut milk acts as a protective layer, shielding your palate, shielding your tongue from that potent spice of that kandari chili.
I can also taste some ginger.
Shards of ginger,
Ginger?
some of the coriander stalk.
Yeah.
The kandari chili are the flecks of red that you see holding on to the prawns. Taste some of that mottecos. What's nice here is that the cabbage still retains its crunch. Some of that vanjaram fry. There's not too much of the masala that's holding on to the fish. Some sudu sadam before that meen kolambu finds its way back to our vada ele. You definitely taste the sourness of the tomato, the tamarind of course.
Yeah.
What's nice here is that the tomato also has a bit of a bite. Plenty of garlic too. The garlic is soft, pulpy, slightly sweet, very sour, having imbibed the character of the tomato, of the takali, and also the tamarind. Tamarind also has this quality that it makes you slurp.
And the tingling thing that happens on your tongue when you have the tamarind.
And I think what's interesting here, what's very nice here, is the balance between the tamarind and the red chilies. I think in this it's the karam pudi, the red chili powder, because you can feel that red chili powder form a coat on your tongue. This potato, urlakilangu, has been waiting to be tasted patiently in that corner.
Full parota mutton.
Well, this is a dish that we saw in the kitchen. I was quite intrigued by it. So they take a parota, they shred it, and then they deep fry those shreds. And then there's an egg, a half fried egg, that's quickly slathered atop it with your choice of meat. And this time around, it's some mutton.
Yeah.
I'm quite curious to know what this will taste like. I want to taste first just that parota with some of that kalaki. So the moistness that you see here is the moistness of the egg. This is delicious. This is a sort of snack that would also do very well in evening time.
Oh, yeah.
When you feel like having a chaat,
Yeah. Okay.
but a non-vegetarian chaat. So what's a chaat about? A chaat's all about textures, right? So you've got the crispness that comes from the parota. You've got the softness of the egg. You don't need chutney because the kalaki has its flavors that it brings along with a bit of the pepper, and perhaps there's also a bit of the salna that goes into it. So there you have the chutneys and then a little bit of the topping. You don't have the same with the potato, but you have the
Mutton.
The
In
atta
this case,
curry.
Yeah, atta curry.
I think that's why it probably makes it a popular evening snack. There's also the takali, the vengayam. So you're also biting into the crunch of all of that. And I think what also complements that preparation very well is the tenderness of the meat. Another must definitely try when you're here at Erodu Amman Mess. What I also like is the sweetness of some of that onion. I think the fennel is an integral part of your masala. Slight sweet lilt that you get on your palate. The sort that if you were to drink some water after this, that water will taste sweet. Well, we had almost forgotten the biryani. Thank you. What's unique about this biryani is the color. I don't think I've ever encountered a biryani that is this darkly stained with the spice mix. And I'm told an integral part of this is the Vietnamese cinnamon that he deploys in the masala. This is also a biryani that's cooked on dum. So there's a certain smokiness that you detect to the nose. And on the palate as well. Can you taste that slight lilt of sweetness?
Yes.
So I can taste the combination of that nehi that probably gets slathered on top before that biryani vessel goes on dum, and all the aromas, all the flavors of that spice mix that have risen through that biryani pot and consequently permeated every grain of rice with that smoky aroma, that smoky, slightly sweet aroma from that masala. I think this is a biryani that's extremely smoky in its flavors.
I think it's a very unique style of preparation. As you rightly said, the spices play a very big role in bringing the sweetness or the taste of the biryani.
What's also very interesting here is that the spice mix doesn't feel very fine. It feels a little coarse, almost such that you can hold on. You can almost feel that you can trap some of the particles of the spice mix on your palate. I can also now taste somewhere the heat that comes from the pepper. So initially you're tasting a bit of that sweetness, the sweet aromas of the spices, whether it's a cardamom, it's a Vietnamese cinnamon, star anise. But now I'm also tasting on my palate the warmth that comes from the pepper. That piece of meat is soft. It's almost like nehi.
It just dissolves in your mouth. You don't have to chew at all.
What the piece of meat also does, there's a bit of fat that sheathes through that meat. So when you taste the rice all by itself, you can certainly feel that potent spike of that spice mix.
For me, this biryani is basically the richness of Tamil culture, the spices.
The fat that's there in the meat,
Yeah.
that tones down, that rounds off the edge of the spice. So people come, they order other things and they close with biryani, is it?
Mostly I think they order biryani and then go with other things. So biryani is like star dish in Chennai. Biryani, see, economically if you speak, I don't know, it's a theory that I have in my mind. I can be wrong also. When you order a biryani, it comes with meat, it comes with a brinjal, raita and a sweet. So economically viable. You just get a feast in that money, 300 to 400 rupees. You just have a proper meal. You don't need to order a lot of things.
So it's basically a one dish meal.
Yeah.
And I think this time around we'll also taste some of that curry with that rice. I mean, to me, if you ask me honestly, I'm a little bit of a biryani purist. To me, I need to find all the flavor that I expect to find in a biryani. I want to find that in the rice.
Okay.
So to me, the rice is the first step.
Yeah. I agree
Then
with
the
you.
rice and the meat. Everything else, I think is an optional extra.
I agree with you. I think I also have the same view about biryani. The accompaniments can wait. The rice and the meat are the star of any biryani.
The reason why I'm reaching for that thandi is not because I found something spicy, but I can taste the sweetness of that spice mix on my palate, be it in the cinnamon, be it in some of that sombu or that star anise. And I know that when I chase it with the thandi, that thandi is going to be sweet. Well, I've saved myself a little mound of the rice, the biryani sadam, and some of that atta curry as my last scoop. So, well, I hope you enjoyed this rather indulgent lunch outing here in Annanagar, Chennai.
Yes.
Thank you very much for introducing us to these meaty joys
My pleasure totally.
of Chennai. I hope you too have enjoyed this meaty meal with us. I think almost every dish that I tasted is the sort that fits into a must order when you're here. So when you're in Chennai, definitely make a visit to Erodu Amman Mess. Well, they have 3 or 4 branches across the city. We are in the one in Annanagar. I hope you enjoyed this one. Until the next time, take care, stay safe, stay strong, and happy eating.
Rice pulver.
Rice gulkan. Well, I guess that wasn't my last scoop of rice. Thank you. Well, this is not something that I've ever tasted before. Rice, some curd and gulkand. I wonder what this will be like. But like this, it is always the first time.
You like it?
You know, I'm trying to process the flavors. I mean, I'm not used to eating gulkand this way. The tair and the sadam I understand. So my mind says, what are you eating? But the palate says, let's try another morsel. That's the sort of combination this is. You know, therefore, never say never to something you haven't tried before. Because who knows that something new may surprise you and pleasantly so. I want a little more of the tair. I find that the sweetness of the gulkand is a little cloying, and therefore I want to balance it with some of the cooling character of the tair. This is how people finish there.
I think it's tradition from Prabhu's house, which we have all incorporated in our lives.
Correct. So that's what he told me. But I thought it was only the yogurt and the gulkand. I didn't know that the rice too was a part of that.
No, it is the finishing touch of the meals.
Fantastic. So when you're here, before you leave the place, also try some of this combination. The sadam, tair and the gulkand. Until the next time. Well, there's a long list of things that we tasted. You'll find all details in the description below. If you'd like to support the work that we do at Food Lovers TV, do consider joining our membership community on YouTube by hitting the join button below or on the home page, and receive special privileges like behind the scenes footage, shoot updates, access to live Q&As and a lot more. You could support us on a Patreon page as well. For more info, check out the links in the description below. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe, like, share and leave a comment below. Happy eating!